What is up, everybody? What is up? Welcome back to another episode of TheoryCraft. This is I, Tyler, aka TovarishGaming, bringing you back to StarCraft 2. Alright, so we are going to be having a cool game today, okay? It's not funny, it's cool, and I'll show you why it's cool. So in the bottom right side, bottom right hand corner, we are going to be having Alij G, and this is the guy that sent the replay into me. He is a platinum player. Okay, and for whatever reason, at the beginning of the season, he was paired up against none other than the real deal Stephano. Okay, and so if any of you are questioning me, you can just look at this APM tab and you can tell that it is the real Stephano. And even if you don't think that that is enough of a reason to believe that it is the real him, I don't really care, because he's obviously a player of that caliber anyway, and that's all that matters. So, oh, excuse me, we are going to be watching Stephano play a platinum player, and I did watch this replay. I watched it because I wanted to make sure. I knew that it wasn't necessarily going to be funny, so I wanted to make sure it was cool. I wanted to see why it was cool, etc., etc., etc. So, we are going to be watching a game here with the very own Stephano, which I think is pretty cool. I think it's awesome that one of my volunteers got to play somebody like this. Excuse me. Ugh. Boy, oh boy. I drink way too much soda. I gotta quit that. But anyway, so we are going to be getting this game underway here. Now, you can see as soon as... I believe this is Steven Fisher who sent me this replay. Or... No, it's not. It's... his name is Alex. His name is Alex. And I forget his last name. But I'm really sorry about that. I have so many volunteers. I have so many people constantly emailing me replays and talking to me in Skype that trying to keep track of people's real-life names and then their StarCraft 2 names and then who sent me in the replay is absolutely ridiculous, and I need to develop a better way of doing that. I thought that creating my own forums would make that much easier, but a lot of people aren't using them. A lot of people are still just sending me stuff the old way, which is absolutely fine, but it does make it difficult to keep track. So I'm sorry, Alex. I do know that you sent in this replay. So, yeah, it looks like he's going to just be coming right down to his natural and getting a couple gateways up and throwing out some zealots. And he's going to be getting his forge down at the 18 supply mark, followed by a cybernetics core. So he's going to be getting this nice little wall off. Could probably stick a zealot in this little area right here. Actually, I'm not even sure units can get through this. We're going to find out. This poor little probe locked out of his own base. Yeah, nothing's going to be able to slide by here. So these gateways are going to be producing down this ramp so as to not wall in right here. Now, I can assume that the reason that he did this is because he saw that it was Stephano, and he was like, oh my god, Stephano's just going to Ling rush me. And I feel that that is a valid concern, but you'll see that... these Lings are not going to be able to do anything. They did take out that probe, but that's fine. That probe wasn't going to be much use, of much use anyway. So we do have some more zealots coming out, and it looks like Alex might just kind of be panicking at this point. Kind of nervous that he's playing such a good player and trying to say, okay, well, what can I do here to really give myself a fighting chance? And it looks like his answer is just going to be some really early pressure with zealots and making sure he gets that expansion down at the 5-minute mark. Which is 2 minutes after Stephano's first expansion came down. And it's just really interesting to see how he's kind of trying to make this work. So he does have the 4 zealots coming in right now to Stephano's natural, and we'll see how this plays out. Now, they are going to probably be able to get a surround on the queen. I'm not sure, though. Stephano just doing a really good job of microing his units away. These 4 zealots going to be turning in on the hatch, but probably going to get surrounded by these drones right here, turning around and getting some attacks off, but this queen is just going to be able to pick these zealots off from afar, which is very good use of his micro from Stephano. These 4 zealots really not getting much done. They are going to turn around and start attacking this hatch again, but you can see this one right here is gone, and there's only 2 zealots left, and Stephano does get the surround with his Zerglings, and these queens just doing quite a bit of damage off in this corner here. Alright, so let's see. Let's see. Down here at our Protoss player's base, we do have a couple more zealots on the way. I'm kind of surprised to see that he wasn't really producing stalkers at this point. It is an interesting choice that he was just going to go for zealots. I know that the attempt, or that the reason for that is probably to be able to deal with early aggression from Stephano. However, I feel like stalkers right now might be a lot better against Lings, considering you could put a stalker here, you could put one here, You could put one here, here, and here, and you would have a nice little stalker turret defense going if Lings try to come into your base. But let's look right down here by the Protoss player's base and see what Stephano is up to. Now, this is exactly the reason that I wanted to actually go ahead and cast this game. He brought these Lings down here to wall off the Protoss player from this direction, okay? So right now, this particular area, I wish I had that zoom out ability that the WCS tournaments have been able to use, where you can zoom out to kind of show more of the map. I wish I could do that right now, but I will refer you to the mini-map. Oh, excuse me for the twitchiness. So this area right here is going to be completely blocked off. There's unbuildable rocks here, there's rocks here, and then this plate right here that these rocks came from is going to be permanent. Okay, so this particular area right here, this zone, is completely blocked off from both players as far as ground units are concerned. But however, you will see this Overlord in here, and he's going to be moving in, and we're going to see why in just 1 second. So this is actually really clever from Stephano, and like I said, you'll see why in just one moment. So we'll see how our Protoss player is doing. Does have a little bit of saturation as natural, probably not as much as he should. I'm surprised. I'm assuming that he kind of slowed down in pro production a little bit. I would feel like at the 8-minute 37 mark, 37-second mark, there would be a little more pro production coming out of our Protoss player. But he might just be in panic mode. He does have his one weapon upgrades coming down, followed by his warp gate. This is an incredibly late warp gate. So you'll see that Alex is actually just kind of freaking out right now. He's got some zealots on the field, but not much else, and his economy is kind of struggling. But here is the awesomeness from Stephano. We do have a Nidus Worm, excuse me, we do have a Nidus Worm coming down from this, or in this little area that I spoke about, right? So right now, this Nidus Worm is completely protected. Okay, so none of the zealots are going to be able to get in through these rocks or through these rocks until they kill them off. And currently our Protoss player doesn't have any air units. So this is actually really interesting what Stephano's doing. You'll see he brought 4 queens immediately, followed by 2 swarm hosts. And these swarm hosts are going to be used just to pick away these rocks. Now this is a really cool thing I'm talking about. Now right here, I'm just going to pause, and I want to show you something very interesting. So if we look at our Protoss player can actually see that there are swarm hosts taking out these rocks right here. My friend asking me a very inappropriate question right now. But you'll see that Alex can actually tell that there are swarm hosts down here, and he can see this creep. So you can probably assumes that there's a Nidus Worm down here. But if he doesn't assume that, he at least knows that he will be getting attacked shortly with something that includes swarm hosts. So that's the information that this player has right now. But you'll see if we actually look at Stephano's view, yeah, he doesn't see that the Protoss player knows that he's here. Now, Stephano's a smart enough player that I'm pretty sure he can assume that there is like a stalker here, which there actually is. So he probably knows that this has been seen, but technically he has no proof of that. So this is just kind of an interesting thing that I want to point out. Because this play right here that Stephano is doing is actually incredibly well thought out, and we're going to see why in just a second right now. Let me go back to everybody view. So we do have the mothership core sitting right here, and that's going to come into play in just 1 second. But we have these units right here going to be attempting to hold off whatever force manages to come up these rocks. But right here, I'm going to pause again. This is the interesting thing, okay? So this is why I decided to go ahead and throw this game online. This is a really, really cool strategy here from Stephano. Now, he used these rocks to block off the Protoss player because he knew that Alex had zealots. Okay, so Alex is going to be coming down here to be like, oh my goodness, I'm going to take out this Nidus Worm and some of these swarm hosts, because he has to assume that there isn't too much down here, which there actually is. You'll see at this point there are 6 queens as well as 4 swarm hosts. So there is actually quite a force down in this little nook over here. And these zealots normally, had Stephano not thought this out, they would have been able to come in and take out this Nidus Worm a little bit earlier before some of these reinforcements arrived. But Stephano did a very good play and bought himself some time using these rocks as an actual offensive maneuver, which you don't see these rocks being used offensively very often. So I found that very, very interesting. We'll go ahead and let this game resume. So these swarm hosts going to be able to push right here, and now Protoss player swings in with his mothership and sees everything. Okay, so now he's aware. He doesn't know how many swarm hosts are here, but he is aware that there's quite a bit of queens. He sees the Nidus Worm. So he knows that these Zealots, he's probably thinking with 6 Zealots that he can get a little bit of damage out, but he's probably knowing at this point that it's not going to be super effective for him to only attack with those Zealots. So let's go ahead and press play here. Now, this is what scares me. We have a couple more Stalkers going down here and another cannon from our Protoss player, and he's throwing down a robotics facility, but it's not going to be enough. His saturation just now getting almost not even fully saturated as natural, and still not doing so hot up here in his main either. So I'm kind of worried about our Protoss player, but you'll actually see right here the Swarm Host finally busts through here, and these Zealots come down to attack, and they're just forced away by a number of Queens and Swarm Hosts. So these Zealots actually not going to be able to get anything done. You got to remember, I do believe that they're still only on, yeah, they only have upgrades to their weapons, and that's only level 1. These Zerglings going to be swinging in here to take out these Zealots, and this huge force of Swarm Hosts and Queens going to be moving into the Protoss player's base, and now they are going to be working on the Cybernetics core, and we'll see that only 4 Stalkers right here, and a Sentry as well as Mothership core not going to be able to do very much. A ton of Lynx, ton of Queens moving in here, and the Swarm Hosts, these Swarm Locusts are just going to be able to take out everything, going to be picking away at this cannon, taking out the Cybernetics core, unable to build Stalkers anymore. And they're going to be working on this forge as well very soon here. And as soon as this pylon gets taken out, there's only going to be 1 pylon actually powering the Stargate robot facility as well as 2 warp gates. So this is actually really awesome from Stephano. And you'll see he went for almost a straight queen play. We do have 8 queens down here on the offensive, followed by these Swarm Hosts, which is going to be incredibly interesting. So you'll see that this game is pretty much over. Stephano just going to be rolling in here and going to be taking out everything, and I assume that we're going to see the GG from Alex pretty soon here. He does have an Immortal coming up, but like I said, everything gets depowered as soon as that 1 pylon goes down. It's good for a Protoss player to remember to have enough pylons in the area to keep his production facilities afloat long enough for him to be able to reinforce his units. And Stephano just throwing down creep tumors, completely taking over the Protoss place, and we do see no GG out of Alex, which, wow, I didn't watch the replay all the way to the end. I did not know that there was no GG. That's quite unfortunate. I feel like Alex should have GG'd out when you get the honor to play with somebody like Stephano. Even if they beat you, I feel like that's really cool just to even be able to play against them, and to have such a very interesting, almost crazy strategy used against him. Taking advantage of this spot down here with this Nidus Worm was incredibly smart from Stephano. He had that planned out right from the get-go. You'll notice we actually spent very little time in his base because there was very little going on. All he was doing really was producing queens, getting his upgrades from his evolution chamber, and throwing out a couple Zerglings as well as spreading creep down here. So his base wasn't that quite interesting, but that's fine because he was doing some really cool stuff down here. You'll see it, a ton of Swarm Hosts coming in, and just creep tumors absolutely everywhere. There's 4 here, 5 here, excuse me, 5 up here, 4 more going down, 3 down here, and pushing this direction as well. So he was just absolutely ready to consume this Protoss player's base. But thank you everybody so much for watching. I really appreciate it. This was awesome getting to actually go over a game of Stephano and seeing some really, really interesting play out of him. So thanks everybody for watching. We'll see you soon, and goodbye.